If you're using it as a secondary switch, the Switch Lite really isn't so bad. For cloud saves, all you really have to do is... What is this?
It's the SNES controller. Alright, wrap it up, boys. We're starting over. Really? Damn it, what happened?
No pre-order date, no release date, barely a word from Nintendo about this thing. This is the SNES controller for the Nintendo Switch, made exclusively to be played with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Nintendo Switch Online app. It's not the only controller you can use. In fact, Nintendo took so long to make this controller, there are so many other options out there. So, is this Nintendo Switch Online exclusive even worth getting over the other stuff? This controller is really nice, and I'm gonna be throwing it a lot of praise over the course of this video. But despite how nice it is, it's probably not worth getting over the competition. I don't want to give people the wrong idea, and I definitely don't want to mislead people who are gonna click out before the end of the video, even though those people are stupid. Anyway, it's a great controller, but so are all the other ones. You can only purchase this controller if you have an active Nintendo Switch Online subscription. You can purchase it on the web page under special offers. It costs $30 plus shipping, which isn't terrible. It's made specifically to use with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System app. Nintendo hasn't explicitly said that this controller will only work for that app, but they have said that about the NES controllers that they also sell. This is not true. These controllers work globally on the Switch, unless of course the game requires thumbsticks. Then you'll have a half-working controller. The SNES controller comes with a USB-A to USB-C cable, and it's just like the one that comes with the Pro controller, except this one is slightly darker. Make of that what you will. Since it's an official Nintendo product, pairing it is very simple. You just plug it into the dock, and the Switch automatically recognizes it. If you want to pair it without the dock, or with a Switch Lite, you can just click the sync button on the bottom. But if you have the option, plugging it in is easier. The NES controllers required you to slot them on where the Joy-Con go in order to pair and charge them. A USB-C cable is a much better option. When you open up the SNES Online app for the first time with this controller, it plays a cool mushroom power-up sound. And the left side of the screen changes from red and white to gray and purple. So that's a cool little Easter egg I wasn't expecting. The same thing happens in the Japanese version of the app. So that means the app knows that I have the North American version of the controller, which is pretty cool. The Switch itself also shows a heavily detailed icon for the controller in the controller settings. The controller itself feels really good, pretty much identical to an original SNES controller. I just so happen to have an almost new SNES controller right here, and can confirm they feel the same. The OG SNES controller might be looser due to age, but they both still feel really solid. They got this controller to feel so close to the original hardware that it should blow my mind. But 8BITDO, a third-party company, has already done this. So Nintendo being able to match their own product from 30 years ago doesn't impress me as much anymore. But it does feel really good. It feels basically identical to the original SNES controller and the 8BITDO SNES controller. Some people complain about manufacturer defects on the 8BITDO controller's D-pad. They say that their units favor diagonal down and right inputs. The fix for this is opening it up and sticking a binder reinforcement sticker on the board. Again, I have never experienced this on any of these controllers. Maybe I'm just not that sensitive, but if you get the official Nintendo one, this isn't a problem that you have to worry about. So if you do notice this on your 8BITDO controller, maybe the Nintendo one isn't a bad option. I should also point out that I don't think 8BITDO makes the Nintendo-styled SN30 Pros anymore. They make newer ones that don't infringe so much on Nintendo's copyright. You can still purchase the original styled ones on Amazon though, so if you favor authenticity, that's not a bad option. But if you don't care about authenticity, the newer styled one feels just fine, maybe even slightly better. So, now that this official hardware exists, why would you get an 8BITDO controller? Well, it doesn't have a home button. This is the most annoying thing that a controller could possibly do. We've seen it with the Pokeball Plus. having to get up to press the home button on the Switch that's sitting in your dock just to get to the home screen is a pain in the ass. Or you have to have 2 controllers near you, one specifically for using the home button. It's dumb. I get that they're trying to make this controller look as authentic as possible, but like, just throw a home button on there. Throw it at the bottom next to the sync button. No one's looking there. ZL and ZR on this controller are basically useless. They're these little tiny clicky buttons that are in the middle of the top of the controller. Your finger reaches it just fine, but they're really just there so you can start Mario Maker. Otherwise, you wouldn't get past the title screen. They're not very practical for actual gameplay. I thought this might be a problem for some games where ZL and ZR are used more than L and R since they're easier to press on a regular controller, but I didn't really come across this issue in any of the games I tried. This controller has most of the essential buttons. It's missing the home button and the share button, but it's also missing thumbsticks. Now, this type of controller isn't really something that you'd want to use for a game that requires thumbsticks, but it does mean that you can't play Link's Awakening with it at all. That's more Link's Awakening's fault than this controller's fault, but the D-pad just doesn't do anything in that game. It's such a ridiculous oversight. It would be really cool to see more controllers that give you the option to have the D-pad mimic the left thumbstick. You have this new 8BITDO controller coming out where the left D-pad is the left thumbstick. Oh, also, I forgot. The PowerA Fusion wired fight pad. It's a Sega Saturn styled controller, but it has a switch where you can toggle the D-pad to mimic the left thumbstick. That's such an awesome thing to have. This controller will work for Link's Awakening. It'll be weird. Actually, it won't be that weird. It's got 2 extra buttons on top.
You know what? It's not that weird. It's perfectly fine.
All right, this isn't about this controller. That controller will get another video, I'm sure. Since the Nintendo controller is missing a whole bunch of buttons, it doesn't have rumble, it doesn't have motion controls, and it's $30, I have to say that almost all of the 8BITDO controllers are a much better value. The regular SN30, the one without thumbsticks, is the same price, $30, and it has even less buttons because it's missing ZL and ZR. So if it's between the official Nintendo one and one of the regular SN30s, I would say probably get the Nintendo one. But the wired SN30 Pro is even cheaper at $25, and it has thumbsticks, it has ZL and ZR, and it has a home button and a share button, and rumble. The SN30 Pro Plus is still more comfortable because it has the grips, it has better triggers, it has an application for Windows that lets you customize it. It is $50 more, but it's worth it for that comfort and the motion controls. The Nintendo controller does feel like a quality piece of Nintendo hardware. The weight is well balanced. It does not bend at all when you put pressure on it. It's weird because it feels like it's made out of the same exact plastic as the 8BITDO controllers, but it just feels tighter, and it feels like the build quality is better, even though they're basically the same thing. But because of the missing features, this controller is best used as a collector's item. The people who are buying this thing are gonna be buying it for the novelty. It's a Nintendo Switch Online exclusive, so buy it, put it on your shelf, and never open it. I recently got the NES controllers because I realized I never had them, and I refused to open them even for this video. Those will rot on my shelf forever. I can't even say that these controllers are best for the Nintendo Switch Online apps, the ones that they're made for, because they don't have a freaking home button. So if you don't have one, don't feel bad about it. Get yourself an 8BITDO controller if you don't already have one, and only get this controller if you like to collect Nintendo stuff. So what do you guys think about the Nintendo Switch Online Super Nintendo controller made specifically for Nintendo Switch Online? Do you agree that there's much better options out there for you? Do you even care as much as I do about having a solid D-pad for these 2D games? Leave it in the comments below. Add me on Twitter, any and all of this other social media garbage. Of course, we got new videos and live streams all the time. Our schedule is in a pinned tweet over on our Twitter. We got Wulff Den live here on YouTube every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's our podcast where we talk to you people. And we got streams all the time over on twitch.tv/WulffDen. You can support us on either platform. Link that to your Discord account. You get into the supporter-only Discord. You get private chat time with us. You get to play multiplayer games with us once a month, just like we played Mario Kart the other day. And you get videos like this one early posted in that supporter-only Discord. But of course, the most important thing that you can do to help support the channel, and the easiest thing, is just to subscribe. And you can share this video with a friend who likes to play all this retro stuff on the Nintendo Switch, because they might be thinking about getting a controller like this, and hey, maybe they end up with it. Maybe they end up with one that's a lot better. Thank you very much. Goodbye.